Welcome back to Exposure Stories. Parker Schnabel's rise to fame and fortune didn't follow any traditional path, and that's exactly what makes his stories so gripping. By his mid-20s, he had already achieved what most miners spend a lifetime chasing, pulling over $13 million worth of gold from the earth, building a reputation as one of the most efficient operators in the Klondike, and becoming a central figure on Gold Rush. But the version of Parker that viewers see on screen is only a fraction of who he really is. Behind the edited episodes lies a world filled with relentless pressure, financial risk, personal sacrifice, and decisions that carry consequences measured in millions. His life is split between extremes. On one side, the rugged isolation of mining camps where every ounce of gold must be fought for, and on the other, moments of luxury, travel, and high-end spending that reflect the rewards of his success. Yet even with that contrast, Parker has remained unusually focused, almost obsessed with the grind that got him there in the first place. From the very beginning, Parker's upbringing set him apart. Growing up in Haines, Alaska, meant living in a place where nature dominates everything and survival depends on self-reliance. It wasn't the kind of childhood filled with comfort or ease. Instead, it was defined by early responsibility and constant exposure to real work. At just 5 years old, Parker was already sitting in the cab of heavy machinery at Big Nugget Mine, learning directly from his grandfather, John Schnabel. This wasn't symbolic or staged. He was genuinely being trained in the fundamentals of mining long before most kids even understood what a job was. His grandfather's philosophy was simple. If you're going to be part of something, you need to understand it completely. That meant Parker wasn't shielded from the harsh realities of the business. He saw the long hours, the mechanical failures, the financial uncertainty, and the physical toll it took on everyone involved. Those experiences didn't discourage him, they shaped his mindset. By the time he reached his teenage years, he wasn't just familiar with mining, he was deeply invested in it. Everything intensified when Parker was forced to step up at a young age. The death of his grandfather in 2016 marked a turning point that carried both emotional and practical weight. Losing a mentor is one thing, but inheriting responsibility at that scale is something else entirely. Suddenly, Parker wasn't just learning the business, he was responsible for keeping it alive. The decision to take his $663,000 college fund and invest it into mining wasn't just bold, it was defining. It represented a complete commitment to a path that offered no guarantees. For most people, that kind of risk would be overwhelming, but for Parker, it felt like the only logical choice. He had already spent years preparing for it, even if he didn't fully realize it at the time. His entry into television added another layer of complexity. When he joined Gold Rush at 16, he wasn't stepping into a controlled environment. He was exposing real decisions and real consequences to a global audience. The producers initially hesitated, unsure whether a teenager could anchor such a demanding narrative. But Parker quickly proved that he wasn't just capable, he was compelling. His ability to explain strategy, operate machinery, and lead a crew gave him credibility that went far beyond his age. As the show gained popularity, Parker's role became more central, and his earnings grew significantly. Starting at $25,000 per episode and eventually reaching up to $100,000, he became one of the highest-paid figures on the show. Yet even as the money increased, the expectations grew alongside it. Every season wasn't just about entertainment, it was about delivering results that justified both the investment and the spotlight. What truly set Parker apart was his performance under pressure. Mining in the Klondike is unpredictable at the best of times, and one bad decision can wipe out an entire season's profits. When Parker led his crew to recover over 1,000 ounces of gold in a single season, it wasn't just a financial milestone, it was a statement. It proved that he wasn't relying on luck or inherited knowledge alone. He had developed the ability to read the land, manage risk, and execute at a high level consistently. That success elevated him from a promising young miner to a serious contender in the industry. But success didn't make things easier, it made the stakes higher. Parker's decision to purchase Dominion Creek for $15 million was a clear example of how far he was willing to push himself. The potential reward was enormous, with estimates suggesting up to $200 million in gold still in the ground. But the risks were just as significant. Early setbacks nearly derailed the entire operation, with slow production, equipment failures, and environmental challenges creating constant obstacles. Instead of retreating, Parker adapted. He invested heavily in improving efficiency, upgraded equipment, and refined his strategy. When that still wasn't enough, he made another bold move by acquiring additional claims, effectively doubling down on his bet. These decisions weren't just about confidence. They were about resilience and a willingness to accept the possibility of failure while still moving forward. His professional life has also been shaped by intense rivalries that reflect deeper differences in philosophy. His ongoing tension with Tony Beets highlights the challenges of navigating partnerships in a high-stakes industry. What began as a mentorship evolved into competition, with financial disputes and strategic disagreements creating friction that played out both on and off-screen. Similarly, his clashes with Todd Hoffman represented a generational divide. Experience versus innovation, tradition versus efficiency. These conflicts added drama to the show, but they also revealed the realities of leadership in an environment where respect must be earned continuously. Outside of mining, Parker's personal life has often taken a back seat to his ambitions. His relationship with Ashley Yoel is a clear example of how his focus on work has come at a cost. Despite acknowledging her contributions and expressing regret over the breakup, Parker has continued to prioritize his career above everything else. Rumored relationships and public speculation have followed him, but he has remained relatively private, choosing not to fully engage with that aspect of his public image. Financially, Parker represents a contradiction. On one hand, he has access to significant wealth, owns high-end vehicles, and enjoys experiences that reflect his success. On the other hand, he maintains a level of restraint that is uncommon for someone in his position. Much of his income is reinvested into his operations, and his lifestyle remains closely tied to his work. Even during one of his most difficult seasons, when financial losses threatened to shut everything down, he demonstrated a willingness to make personal sacrifices to keep his crew employed and his operation running. Pawning a sentimental vehicle to cover payroll wasn't just a financial decision. It was a reflection of his priorities. Ultimately, Parker Schnabel's story is about more than gold. It's about the mindset required to operate in an environment where success is never guaranteed and failure is always a possibility. It's about making decisions that carry real consequences and learning to live with the outcomes. The luxury, the fame, and the drama are only part of the narrative. What truly defines Parker is his relentless drive, his ability to adapt under pressure, and his commitment to a path that demands everything he has to give. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel.